Welcome to Igbo Land Updates today. According to a report by Sahara and other reports, a Nigerian Igbo man identified as Chief Solomon Ogbonna Eziko was reportedly crowned as a king, Igbo in Eastern Cape. The ceremony allegedly took place around East London, South Africa, within a local Igbo community. Now, here is why the tension started. South African authorities and traditional leaders reacted very strongly. From the government side, there is a rejection. Officials said they were not aware of any such coronation. They described it as illegal, as a violation of South Africa's sovereignty and laws. Then from the traditional rulers' angle, they also showed their anger. According to them, the area belongs to the Amarahabe kingdom under Soza traditional authority. So the leader said, no foreign group can install a king on their land. It is a disrespect to their local customs and authority structures. Now, there is a fear of conflict. Authorities warned the move could inflame tensions, trigger xenophobia, disrupt social cohesion. Already you know that some people are looking for ways to start trouble. But here is the real issue. The situation is not just about a king. It is deeper. It is a cultural misunderstanding. In Igbo culture, titles like Igbo often mean a community leader, a cultural representative abroad. But in South Africa, king, that's territorial authority over land and people. So that difference caused the explosion. And that is why I even advised some of our people. I said, why not use chairman? Yes, if you go to other places, why not use chairman and Igbo? Or chibe or something like that. That's what I have advised. Now, if you use Eze, it's as if you are dragging something with the host communities. And that is what they feel. I understand that these titles are not the same. Igbo's own are for the sake of settlement of dispute and having a representatives. But the way they carry themselves, and I think maybe we should change the name. We will not be having Ezigbo. We have, and they will not be using those royal stuffs. Instead, you have chairman. It will look as if it's a meeting something. Now, when you talk about sovereignty and sensitivity, South Africa is very strict about it. Who can be recognized as a traditional ruler? They are very strict about it. And they are also strict about their land authority and indigenous kinship. So when foreigners crown a king, authorities see it as a challenge to their state authority and even a security risk. The other one is xenophobia background, you know. South Africa we have seen that happen, xenophobia attacks. South Africa has a history of anti-immigrant tension. So Nigerians are often targets of suspicion. So this incident, it's bringing about fears that foreigners are taking over. Meanwhile, that is not the case. So let's go now. Foreign they buy ono mazpa. Amami funi eja chola eze ke echie eze gburo ogbu eze kelifi GM. Asem kwa won ife kelifi ed zanu chairman no ekpusu na ogbu na ezi na akwa eze kelifi owodo. Akwụkwọ we dozie ife ka ndị Igbo nwe representative unu ezi na akwa eze si ba anu e. Amon na mokutekwari si ba anu yi akwa eze ahụ. Now, looking at it from the political framing, some officials use strong words like, this is a threat to our sovereignty. It is a destabilization. How quick can they gana nekwuko bosia? Odeka, nwere ife go na ha na-azọ. Keloris na ije nwere ezigbo outside. For that no ka we na onye a echisara ikpe, ka we na ekpezi ofuma. But some of us, now if that is the case, I even is na akwa title ahụ na-eyi abụrụ akwa title ahụ na-eyi ka eze ka ife a na-eyiri okomuke enweghị isi asị m kwuo sị kwụsị ere nwenu chairman kere nke na-aza eze Igbo ụnụ afụna ndị host ụnụ ndị ụnụ na ha nọ they are beginning to ha na-feel threatened almost na ndị ba ebe ọ na-eji ha na-enwe eze Igbo achọghị m ya personally. I don't like it. Mana these are questions we need to ask. These are key questions. Was it legal? Yes, likely yes, from South Africa's perspective, because only the government recognizes traditional rulers. You cannot install a king inside another kingdom's territory. But before we leave this particular story, I want to remind other people what Igbo communities usually mean when they do things like this. So, what Igbo communities usually mean? In many countries like Ghana, UK, Igbo diaspora communities appoint Ezigbo, Igwe Ndi Igbo. They are symbolic for unity's sake and coordination, not territorial kingship. So the problem here is presentation versus interpretation. But the South Africans are seeing it, and not just South Africans, some other people are seeing it as if there is an abuse. This is what this people wants to install leadership when we have leadership here. But that is not the case. It's quite different. And here is the bottom line. An Igbo community event was interpreted by South African authorities as a foreign attempt to create a monarchy inside their land. So it triggered government rejection, then traditional authority backlash. It triggered risk of xenophobic tension, and that is it. Now let's go to the next story. A death row inmate in Ebonyi State, identified as Ikechukwu, has come out with strong allegations about his conviction. He claims his trial was a sham and not based on real evidence. A death row inmate. And here is his main allegation, according to the report. He said no proper investigation was done. He said authorities did not properly investigate the case before charging him. And the other one, he said no eyewitness. He claims there was no eyewitness linking him to the said crime that has led to his maybe being in death row. Then the other one, alleged bribery. Alleged bribery. He alleged that officials collected money to influence the case outcome. And looking at his own version of event, he insists he did not kill the victim or mother. He claims the woman, his apprentice girlfriend, took poison herself. So this case is a very big case. We're looking at here death penalty plus weak system. And it's the result is always dangerous. When someone is on death row, the standard should be strong evidence, verified investigation, and reliable witness. If his claims are true, then an innocent person could be executed. So that is the biggest fear in any justice system. And if it is true, no eyewitness. Sometimes that there is no eyewitness doesn't mean somebody is innocent anyway. Many rape crimes have no eyewitness. Counts can still convict based on maybe circumstantial evidence, confession, forensic findings. But if there is no eyewitness, no strong evidence, no proper investigation, then the case can become very questionable too. And the other one, corruption, the allegation of corruption, it is serious. They claim that they collected money. That is explosive, because if it is true, it means justice was sold. Police plus legal system may be compromised. And in Nigeria, this is a common public fear. Who has money win the case. And there is a pattern in Nigeria's justice system. This case fits a pattern people complain about: poor investigation by police, forced or weak prosecutions, and another case of delayed justice, death sentences based on shaky evidence. And that's why groups often call for review of death row cases, abolition of death penalty. But here's the bigger question. Was there forensic evidence? Did he have a good lawyer? Was there any confession under pressure? Has any court reviewed the case recently? This is not just a crime story. It is a justice system test. If his claims are true, it exposes deep corruption and failure. Meanwhile, if his claims are false, then it shows how convicts may try to manipulate the public sympathy. Whichever way, please let them properly look into it. They should be sure he is not innocent before anything. Let's get to the next story. Remember, we are on Igbo land stories. A Nigerian soldier Staff Sergeant Amoke Gunshot Simeon, this one they attached gunshot in between his name. He has been recognized for bravery years after a major anti-kidnapping operation in Abia State. He reportedly rejected a 50 million naira bribe from a notorious kidnap kingpin known as Osisikankwu. During the operation against kidnappers, the criminal allegedly offered him 50 million naira, told him to name your price. The soldier refused and continued the mission. That decision contributed to the fall of the kidnapping gang, restoring peace in Abia at the time. So what is happening now? Years later, the soldier is now suffering from serious injuries. He had a motor accident while on duty in Northeast. His legs were badly affected and treatment was poorly handled initially. So the governor of Abia State has now promised to fly him abroad, cover full medical treatment costs. Wow, that is a nice one. So this story hits different. Let's break it down. It's about integrity versus survival. The man has two choices. Take 50 million naira and live comfortably. Reject it and risk your life. He chose integrity. In a country where people say everybody has a price, this story challenges that mindset. That there are some, even though some of the time security operatives are this and that, occasionally you find some good ones. Then the second one is delayed reward system. Look at the reality. He did the right thing years ago, but suffered injury, poor treatment, possible neglect. Only now he's getting recognition. Why do Nigeria often celebrate heroes late? Imagine there are no people like Oti. This man might remain like that. Now the most painful part, a soldier who saved life struggled with medical care. Meanwhile, criminals often live large before being caught. That shows the system doesn't always protect those who protect it. Should I start talking about wife of late soldiers or police? I don't want to delve into that. Now, here is why help came now. His story surfaced on social media. It got attention. Government responded, meaning, without public noise, many heroes remain forgotten. So the story raises important question. How many soldiers like him are suffering silently? There are many of them. If you watch this Hembelembe Brekete family in Abuja, if you watch it through online, you will see what is happening there. Some soldiers are begging to have what is due them after service. Why must heroes beg before getting care? What happens to those who didn't reject the bribe? A man refused 50 million naira to protect society, but later, society almost forgot him until his story went viral. Now, he is finally getting help from him and Onyoyawo, Alex Oti. Help! His bomb mother. Now, the next story, Soludo is reigning, the way he's dealing with Dibias in Anambra. Governor Chukwuma Soludo of Anambra spoke publicly about his recent crackdown on native doctors, traditional healers, who promised quick wealth to public. Ego says so. These traditional practitioners were allegedly offering money rituals, quick riches without effort. They are offering magical solutions to unemployment and financial struggles. So, Soludo took certain actions, and here is why he took the actions. According to him, to protect the citizen, many people were being exploited financially and emotionally. And some victims reportedly lost life savings trying to gain wealth through unverified rituals. Not even that one safe. People wait and they kill and call for those rituals. Now, the other one is the rule of law. Soludo emphasized that promising wealth without work is fraudulent and illegal under Nigerian law and under almost every country's law. So the crackdown was not targeting our culture or tradition. Like some people are getting angry. What of the pastors? If you see pastors where they do bad, they tell Soludo now. So the crackdown was not targeting our culture and tradition, but illegal practices. And it also has economic implications. Some promises often lead to ignore legitimate jobs and businesses, and it could fuel get-rich-quick scams which destabilize communities. And like I said again, ọ bụrụ ndị mmadụ ka a na-egbu ka ife ada. Ndị mmadụ ka a na-egburisi wee na-eme ife nwa na-eme. Ọ bụrụ na ọ ha alụ. And let's note, traditional medicine and rituals are deeply respected in Igbo culture. So the governor carefully framed his action. We are not against tradition. We are not against tradition, only against fraudulent claims of instant wealth. So he's saying this to avoid backlash from cultural groups. Already, some people are kicking. Many young Nigerians are desperate for jobs. Promises of quick money exploit hope and fear and greed. And without intervention, scams could spread rapidly. So Soludo positioned himself as a pro-justice, anti-fraud leader. Signals to citizens and government protect you, and fraudsters, you will face consequences. And I think Soludo's action is preventive measure against exploitation. It balances law enforcement, citizens protection, and cultural respect, and is sending a strong message, no shortcut to scam. But there is something I'm thinking they are failing to say. The major thing there is some people are getting killed in the name of being used for ritual. That is worse. So we are not talking about these people just because of their deceiving other people. Apart from deceiving other people, some of these people kill people. Some of these so-called native doctors kill other humans in the name of preparing charms. That is serious crime. That is murder. And that is what the governor should also mention. We are trying to stop things like this. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is where we stop on this show. We will come back tomorrow again on Igbo Land News. Please don't fail to subscribe to our channel if you have not subscribed. Also share this video as you see it. I'm Azuka OJ. I say bye-bye for now.